Welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is Cognitive Drift, and I'm your host, Jay. A lot going on today. Super excited. We got Michael One joining us again tonight. Madeline wasn't able to join us. She's feeling ill. So if you wouldn't mind, say a prayer for Madeline tonight so she can get better. But a lot of crazy stuff happening today. Scott Bessent thrashed some members of Congress on Capitol Hill today. So super excited to dig into that with Michael. And without further ado, I'm going to add Michael to the stage. Welcome, Michael. How you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing great, sir. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Uh-huh.
I was laughing earlier watching the videos of Scott Bessent just
Yeah,
thrashing Maxine
he's,
Waters.
he's awesome. I think you remember that report about him and Elon Musk getting into it. I think it's real. I think he
Yeah,
has that kind of thing going on for him.
yeah, it was really funny. Like, just watching her read a scripted thing or whatever that was probably written by one of her college staffers. Like, she doesn't even know what the hell she's saying.
No,
To
no,
be
no,
honest
no,
with
no.
you, a lot of people, they say that AOC is like the dumbest member of Congress, but I don't know. Maxine and Mazie Hirano are given her
Dumb and Dumber. Let's call him Dumb and Dumber. Yeah,
yeah, just absolutely ridiculous, and we pay them
yeah,
just under $200,000 a year, and they're multimillionaires.
yeah.
For
Proud to say that she's our congresswoman over here in California.
yeah, it's just crazy. And yeah, does she even live in her? I don't even think she lives in her
She
district.
doesn't live in her district. I heard that she actually lives in Beverly Hills. She has like a mansion there.
Right. Yeah. So
Yep.
yeah, just she doesn't even know. Like she doesn't care about the people that live there.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, no, just really like Besant has been one of the biggest surprises for me. Just given his background, I was really leery of him. Having worked with Soros and stuff
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
like just that automatically raises a red flag. But the dude is on it. He is smart. There's a reason why he worked with some very wealthy people in the world because he knows what's going on and he is sharp. And, like he thinks on his feet and
Mhm.
he just absolutely makes these members of Congress look like
Yeah.
fools.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I remember him doing like a town hall with the New York Times, and he flat out just said to the New York Times host, "We don't read your paper anymore. We don't believe the New York Times anymore. It wasn't the New York Times as it used to be." And he just said it to their face. And I thought, "Oh, this dude is really." I now I understand why President Trump chose him as Secretary of Treasury.
Yeah,
And you're right. And I did have some caution about him because he did have working relationship with George Soros. And for us conservatives, George Soros is Dr. Evil right there. He's the emperor, right?
yeah,
The Palpatine. So
yep.
we just we're really worried, but I think Trump really, I mean, he made every single choice that he made for the second term. I think it's all pretty good.
Yeah. No, he's made some phenomenal picks
Yep.
and they've done some great work. I mean,
Mhm.
it's you know, I'm always like I'm always apprehensive just because, in the past we thought we were going to get some good picks like Bill Barr and stuff like that. We thought that, originally it was thought that he was going to be like this,
Yeah,
I
maybe he
guess
did.
like not like going against the grain, willing to buck the system, and he was really swampy. He was really not that person that we wanted or something like that. So I'm always leery of some of these picks. But the thing is Trump is doing the best that he can, and
Yeah.
he's made
Mhm.
some fantastic picks this administration.
Bill Barr, William Barr is probably the biggest disappointment personally. Bill Barr is a very fishy guy, and I think he was also involved in voter fraud, in my opinion. And also, if the I mean, the Epstein files shows that it was Bill Barr's dad, Donald Barr, at Dalton School hired Jeffrey Epstein. And then Bill Barr also worked as Attorney General under George H.W. Bush. So I think to me George H.W. Bush is super swampy too. And if you checked I don't know, Jay, whether you checked the recent Epstein files, but George H.W. Bush is mentioned there, and I couldn't believe it. First, I had to check and recheck, and it has him being involved in some sexual assault to a boy. And it's just crazy. And I think these are some
Right.
swamp creatures. And he used to be the director for the CIA, so I consider him a deep stater. And he's the first. He was the guy who first talked about the New World Order. And I think the Bushes is just very fishy to me. So I think probably Trump made a lot of mistakes in his appointings in the first term. I mean, everything else he did really well, even amidst all that environment. But I think William Barr, you're right. I put a whole bunch of hope on him. Him even picking special counsel John Durham, and a lot of people put a lot of hope to John Durham uncovering the Crossfire Hurricane issue, but nothing came out of that. And that goes to show the first term it was not easy, and second term I think he learned his lesson and he's choosing the right ones. And I think Pam Bondi, I had some doubts. I thought Matt Gaetz would be better, but I think the release of at least they did release the Epstein files. So I think
I mean that's I'm gonna pull up this so we can watch.
Sure.
That's it, Thrasher, because
that's awesome.
I think it's worth watching.
I believe the ranking member does not understand the definition of generalized inflation versus one-time price increases. I would also note that housing, especially for working Americans, a Wharton study has shown that the mass unfettered immigration, adding 10 to 20 million new people demanding housing, Congresswoman, is what caused a great deal of housing inflation for working Americans. So you and the Biden administration should be ashamed.
Which is also why we are seeing rents. There was just a recent media story on this. Rents are going down partially because of that enforcement. So Mr. Secretary.
Yes, it is supply and demand continues to work.
I
believe.
Yeah, just and they don't really understand. Like, Maxine, she doesn't understand.
No, I think,
and it's just funny. Like, and then she was talking about inflationary or whatever, and she didn't even know the terms that she's talking about. Like, she's just reading what's on the paper. But it's obvious that the housing situation is caused. You flood it with the illegals or whatever, and it's gonna cause a lot of problems. And then he went into the budget and how 10% of the budget is fraudulent, which is great. That's huge, right? When we're talking about whatever, what are we at, how the national debt,
37 trillion dollars.
Yeah, we're up to 37, right? So but 600 billion of our budget at least is fraudulent. That's coming from the Treasury Secretary. I appreciate the repost there, Sherry and Amber. Thank you for doing that. And if anybody has any comments or wants to ask a question, please bring it up. We'll put it on the stage if it's relevant. But just 10% of the budget. And Nick Shirley he did a stream too with talking about the fraud that he uncovered or whatever, and he's become a bit of a celebrity himself. He was awarded $100,000 for his.
I saw it. Yeah,
good for him. Honestly, let's reward the good ones. Seriously, that was awesome that he got something from that, because the kid's putting in work. And so
I mean, it's something that the mainstream media refused to report. Anything that's advantage Republican or conservative, they would never report on it. And Nick Shirley, he's been exposing a lot of things, not just this, from even last year. I think he went to Greenland, and he showed there's a lot of MAGA people there too. A lot of people do like America getting involved in Greenland, that they were discriminated against from the Danish people. So it's not like his first exposure of this not to this magnitude, but I really applaud him, to expose a lot of corruption that's been happening in Minnesota and even in California as well. And Minnesota, I think the rent fee has been going up because all the Somali migrants, they've been getting subsidized, right? Even rents and purchasing houses. So the real Americans, the citizens, they're losing out. Right. And it seems like the Democrats don't care about them.
Yeah, well, I mean, what happens is if you come here legally, if you come the right way, you're not entitled to benefits. You're not entitled to any subsidies. You're not entitled to anything for the first 5 years. But if you come illegally, well, the opposite is true. You don't have to go through the
Right.
process.
It's
It's
just
not.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's completely the opposite of what should be happening. Like
Mhm.
you don't have to go through the process. You get subsidized, you get health care, you get housing, you get money for food, you get all these different things for doing the wrong thing. The system
Mhm.
is doing the exact
Wait.
opposite of what it should be doing, and it's thank God that we're becoming aware of what's
Mhm.
happening. We were
Uh-huh.
talking about this earlier before we
Uh-huh.
started the show. The American public is in the world at large is becoming more aware of what is happening. I don't think a lot of this stuff is new. I think it's been
Mhm.
happening for a long time.
Yeah.
These
Mhm.
frauds, all these different things, like they have new looks or whatever, but like they've been happening, and we're just
Mhm.
becoming like the public is becoming hyper aware because
Yeah.
they cannot stop social media. It's so much
Mhm.
faster than the news. It's so much faster. And granted, there's a lot of BS out there. People post a lot of just stuff that's not correct. But the thing
Mhm.
is like the truth gets out there too.
You're
The
right.
truth is getting thrown out there faster than they can stop
Yeah.
it, faster than they
Uh-huh.
can spin it. And so
Mhm.
thank God for that.
Yeah, I mean, the internet era really changed the game, and I think with Trump coming in the picture, him, utilizing Twitter and spreading the message directly to the audience, that really changed the game. And I think we all know why the Democrats want these Somalis to come in, because they can't get votes. They're losing votes from not just white people, but black votes and Hispanic votes. So they need new votes. So that's why they're bringing in all these migrants. And what is it? I mean, I don't want to demean them, but I heard that the average IQ is like 80 or something around that realm. And there's a study that even after 10 years of them as a resident in Minnesota, that they're still relying upon subsidies. So why are we even bringing them here? So I think meritocracy really is the way to go. If we want to bring in migrants or immigrants, they should benefit America, not us benefiting them.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Like they should be adding to our society, right? If it should be a net benefit if
Yeah.
somebody comes, and they
Mhm.
should have to earn their way in and do it the right way. And so I know a lot of people that have done it the right way, and it's an arduous process, but they at the end they feel like they've achieved something or whatever
Yeah, yeah.
they're
Uh-huh.
in, and
It,
it's really cool to see, to be honest
yeah,
with
you're exactly right. It's an achievement. To do it legally, waiting 7, 8 years to get your green card and all the process. It's a huge achievement, and I think for them to just walk over the state, and it's unbelievable under Joe Biden. What, 14 million illegal immigrants came over to America? It's just ridiculous.
you.
Why are they doing it? And how many of them are murderers or rapists? Like President Trump said, we see all these stories about Laken Riley, a 22-year-old nurse who got raped. And also, you have another lady named Kate Steinle. She was 32 years old, and she was walking with her dad in San Francisco, one of the port, and she got shot by an illegal immigrant from Mexico. And actually, they found out, even Hillary Clinton talked about it, that he got kicked out of the country 5 times. He came back the 6th time because it was a sanctuary city, that he was protected by the law. That's why he came back, and he shot this, innocent girl. And there's a number of stories like this. Jocelyn Nungaray, this 12-year-old who got strangled and killed by 2 Venezuelan gangsters. I mean, it's just I feel like it's so evil. I wonder who's control. I always wondered who's controlling Joe Biden, because we know that it wasn't Joe Biden's idea; it's somebody else's.
Right.
All this evil was done to America, but thankfully President Trump came back, and I do think that it was much better. I do think that it was much better for President Trump to come back.
Yeah, I mean it's a different situation. Like
Yeah.
like he was attacked in different ways. He
Mhm.
saw like who they were, and the other piece is like they opened the border wide open. Like they it's funny because like for years, like just really my whole life, we've been told that, you know, you can't shut the border down. It's impossible. It's too porous. It's too long. There's no way that you can do it. And then they bring up all the other issues like overstays and all these like side issues or whatever. And it's funny because within like almost immediately President Trump shut the border down and he stopped anybody from coming over. Like it's
You're right. Like 7-8 months in a row, there's nobody coming in.
Yeah, it was complete BS. Like you can stop people from coming over. Like it's possible. And he showed that. And you know, it's the lie that we were told, you know, this is the other part of this too, is like if we ever get a Democrat president and they reopen that border, like the American people are not going to stand for that.
No.
Like they're not just going to watch these people come over again, because originally, like I said, they were told, they were fed this lie that you could never shut it down. It was too porous, it was too long, or whatever.
Right.
Like it's a completely impossible task. Well, President Trump just proved them wrong, and it can be shut down. So they are allowing these people to come, and I don't. If that ever happens again, it is not going to be pretty. Like the people are going to hurt people, and it's. I hopefully it never comes to that. Hopefully they never, like, hopefully they put things in place that never allow that to happen again. But I just don't think we're ever going back there, because people are just not going to sit back and be like, oh, well, you know, we got a Democrat president, I guess we need to let 50 million illegals in. Like that's not going to fly again. Like people are not going to stand for that.
Yeah, people are not going to stand for that. But I think if we do have a Democrat president one day, hopefully not, God forbid. But if we do, I do think they're going to open the gates again, because they're losing votes. And I think I really believe that Joe Biden did not win in 2020. I think it was rigged election, and I think voter fraud happened. I think Venezuela was active. I think they really hacked into it. Use Smartmatic. You know, LA County still use Smartmatic. They use these machine. They manipulated the votes on all 7 swing states. Remember when the vote count stopped in the middle of the night? All those 7 swing states. Right. That can happen again. You know, so these people. I think the people wouldn't stand it. But what I worry about is, you know, if you look at the Minnesota, the ICE shooting of those 2 individuals, right? Good and Pretty. Look at the protest. I mean, I know that they are paid and bought, but still they went out on the streets. But the conservative side, we don't do that. You know what I'm saying? When Laken Riley died, or Kate Stanley died, or Jocelyn Nungary died, we didn't do that. Anything that's outrageous, you know, we don't go on the streets and demonstrate, because we are all busy working, because conservatives are diligent people, you know, who are principled people, not like the left. So you know, I don't know about that, Jay, whether people wouldn't stand it mentally. We would talk about it like our shows, but I'm not sure whether people would go on the street and put pressure on them. You know, actually, even the Epstein files, if you look at the content, I think people should go, you know, marching on the streets, you know, to the Democrats, because 99% of them are Democrats. All the names coming out, like Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, you know, Reid Hoffman, you know, Larry Summers, it's all Democrats, you know. I think Jeffrey Epstein, he's a Democrat. So I don't see our side. Our side is very gentle. You know, we are gentlemen, and the women are very mature, I think, on our side. And I think we try to engage with them rather than, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I mean, there's, you know, we're people, like you said, people of principle, and we believe in law and order, and we believe in the system and the Constitution. And so it's sometimes it's challenging with people that don't play by the same rule book that we do. And so there's a lot of frustration that's with, you know, with the Department of Justice and stuff like that, and like why we can't bring these people to justice. And I feel that a lot. Like I feel it most for, you know, President Trump, because I know if we don't accomplish certain things, they're going to come after him to silence him after his term. They're going to come after him in vicious ways to try and make sure that he doesn't you know, wield that stick of influence that he has. And so I worry most for him, because I think I think President Trump is just awesome.
Yeah.
I love him, and he's not
He's the-
perfect.
I mean, he's the best. I mean, personally, I think he's one
He
of
is
the best presidents that we
100%.
have.
Like he's the
Yeah.
dude is like he's an anomaly, and
Mhm.
we need to take advantage of everything that we can accomplish under his
Yeah, you're right.
administration to get it done.
And what I heard was the people that's going in these streets are illegal immigrants. You know, we have probably like 30, 40 million illegals here. In all honesty, we don't. I mean, even ICE doesn't know. The Homeland
Well,
Security office people don't know how many illegal immigrants or undocumented we have in the United States of America. So all the people who are protesting, they don't have jobs. I bet, you know. So I think I would say like majority of them are illegals.
Well, the protesters are generally like they're generally like leftist paid agitators. It's not really the illegals that are going out there and doing it, but except for California. California is a little bit different, but that's due to the population, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Huge population of illegals there. So, but you know it's just. It's the thing is like you have to like stamp this stuff out when politicians are calling for people to get violent, people to bring guns and stuff like that. It's a real problem, and I'm thinking in a military mind, right? I can't do it any other way. Like you cannot undermine the commander, right? You cannot have like this mutinous behavior underneath or whatever. It only causes problems. And yeah, thank you, Easton, for your just you cannot have like this mutinous behavior happening underneath. Like they have to stamp this out. And I would like to see some of these politicians face some serious repercussions for the things that they're doing, because they're not the ones out there. They're not the ones that are going to get hurt. It's these ICE agents. It's these people, these paid protesters that are going to get hurt. And, it's just not, it's not good business. They should be calling for peace. They should not be encouraging people to bring guns to these places or whatever, because that's only going to create more problems. And so we saw that with Pretty, and it's just they get to sit in their tower and command people to do these things, and these things result in real bad things.
It's just Trump derangement syndrome. I think I mean, look at Obama. How come there was no protest under Obama? He deported 5 million people. He was the deporter in chief. Actually, he deported much more than President Trump. So there was no outcry then, and he even gave a Medal of Freedom award to Tom Homan, right?
Right.
So I mean, the hypocrisy, because the mainstream media, they don't, the New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, ABC, NBC, CBS, they would not cover the story of nobody coming over from the southern border. It's zero for 7-8 months in a row, and they wouldn't cover those kind of positive news, and they would just cover about these for these illegal immigrants, in Minnesota. Look at the way that they changed the narrative. Like weeks ago, like almost a month ago, when Nick Shirley exposed them, everybody was outraged about the fraud, the Somali fraud. But then they changed the narrative with ICE. And I think I think they're very they have this evil, they're like this evil genius. They know how to make, what's that guy, Rahm Emanuel? Was he the one who said, never waste a disaster? I think I think they are the experts on that. They know how to change the narrative and twist it to make it advantage them, and we kind of got hurt even yesterday, right? During the 2 days ago. What was that? The Texas special election. We lost both the House. I mean, the House seat was a Democrat incumbent, but she resigned. I mean, he resigned, so the Democrat won there. But I'm talking about the state Senate seat. The Republican lost that seat. There was a 31 percentage point swing, and I do think that the media did affect. Probably it motivated the Democrats, and I think the Republicans didn't show up. That's why we lost that seat. And if you think about it, we lost every single election ever since Trump won, the important ones.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's we need conservatives to show up for sure, and I don't, hopefully some of these losses is a motivator, and hopefully they understand how important these things are because we need to show up. The thing is we've got midterms coming up, and a lot of people talk about primaries and getting the rhinos out and all this stuff, but if you don't vote in the primary, if you don't go out there and figure out who those rhinos are, then you're going to have to vote for the rhino in next November. And so because you definitely don't want a Democrat in there, and that's part of the thing, and hopefully
I worry about it. I do worry about the midterms.
I do too. And because traditionally we're going to lose some seats, and we barely have a majority. So if we lose seats or whatever, then we're screwed. We're basically going to have gridlock on the Hill. They're going to impeach President Trump, and we're just going to get not very much done in the last half of his term. And so.
I worry about it because I can see the influencers are leaving, like Candace Owens, not just Candace Owens, but, Jimmy Dore, some of the far left ones, the progressive ones, like Dave Smith. Now they openly mock President Trump, that everything President Trump has been doing is a disaster if you listen to what they're saying. And I think we're losing like people like Andrew Schultz. He's also a progressive who supported Trump too, right? From New York. And they're not just not endorsing Trump anymore. Every single episode that they do, they bash him.
Right.
And I just feel like, there's this MAGA division. I do think it's real. Probably they're not MAGA anymore. I think they don't believe in MAGA anymore. And I think since Joe Biden was such a horrendous president, we rallied together. There was some conservatives, some people in the middle, and also we got some progressive people. And then we put Trump back in the White House. But I think people were so hell-bent on the Epstein file issue, and also the death of Charlie Kirk. People want to know the truth about it, and they're not satisfied with the official narrative, with Tyler Robinson being the lone wolf. And I think that really created a huge division. And it's just everywhere I go, when I talk with Republicans or conservatives, they do talk about these issues. So that's when I felt, this is certainly a worrying sign. And last year, when you look at the elections, like New Jersey, Virginia was a Republican hold, right, with Glenn Youngkin. We had a Republican governor there, and we lost that seat. And New York City and Miami, we lost every single one. And even Texas now, that is an alarming sign. I have to say, we are not winning right now. We are just not winning. I mean, if at least I thought that we would win that Texas Senate seat. And that was a place where Trump won by 17 percentage points. But the Republican candidate, and what I understand is she raised 10 times more and still lost.
Yeah, well, yeah, we can dive, like, that's the other piece is like a lot of these endorsements coming from President Trump are from the candidate who raises the most money, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best candidate. And the thing is, it's impossible for him to know every single race, every single candidate and stuff. And, that's where we have to come in, and we have to vet some of these people. We have to raise the red flag. If we know that somebody within our district or whatever is running or whatever, they may be raising a lot of money, but they're not raising it from good people. And we need to raise a red flag on that.
The candidates themselves should be excellent too. You're right. It's not just because you have an R beside your name that we should just support, blindly. I agree with you.
Yeah. But talking about the media, so the Washington Post laid off 30% of its staff. And that was, it's funny because you see, like, now they got GoFundMe's going or whatever. But the story behind it was Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, and he was trying to create a more balanced, product or whatever, like not so hardcore left, and it just didn't work. And like they nothing changed. Just just business as usual there at the Washington Post. And so today, like they laid off 30% of their staff, and now they're crying about it or whatever. But the thing is like, if they were honest journalists, they wouldn't have had this problem. They are not. They're this, extreme leftist.
So yeah, I mean, Washington Post, if you think about it, in their editorial side, they have never endorsed a Republican presidential candidate. So their base is far left goons. That's what they were. So when they decided not to endorse Kamala Harris last year, and I'm not trying to prop them up, 2 years ago, they lost their base. I think they lost like a certain percentage of their subscription right away the next day, and the people were very angry about it. So I think New York Times, they knew how to play the game, because if you're gonna sell your paper, and you should know your base. And I think Jeff Bezos, he was scared. I mean, he didn't want to feel the wrath of President Trump, and I do think that he predicted that Trump would win. So that's why eventually he decided not to have the paper endorse Kamala Harris. And I think it had a backfire. I think his thought was he wanted to get some middle ground and get some conservatives to jump into their ship. But as a conservative, I'm not going to read WAPO. I'm not, just because you don't endorse Kamala Harris, because you guys propped up Trump-Russia collusion thing. And they even did break a story that the Trump-Russia collusion was backed by the Clinton campaign money. They did break that story, but it was on the 5th page or the 6th page. It wasn't on front page. You know what I mean? So you can know how they value. They just, they are a far left fringe paper. Let's be honest. They are a far left fringe paper. When was the last time you saw or you read an article of them, or an op-ed side or the editorial side, where they showed a smidgen of support to the conservative side or Trump? None. You're exactly none. So WAPO and New York Times too, but New York Times played it smart. I think, I mean, as a business standpoint, they did endorse Kamala, and they know that their base is, far left fringe people, because New York Times years ago, they hired a climate change denier, Brett Stevens. I think his name was Brett Stevens, a columnist there. And then they lost 6% of their subscription the next day. So they learned their lesson from that experience. And they said, oh, we can't lose 6% overnight. And they sent out an apology letter to all their subscribers. That's how far left they are. And and I think that moment they decided, oh, we are a far left paper and we're going to stay that way. And I think NYT didn't lose that much. But WAPO, they were not the number one paper anyway, sales-wise. I think it's NYT and Wall Street Journal and USA Today, and probably their number 4 or number 5. And I think they're losing ground. And I bet Jeff Bezos is regretting every single moment of why he bought that paper in the first place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if anybody can, I think Bezos can probably turn it around. I think Bezos is more conservative than he would let on.
That's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And, he's more of he's got a business mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
He knows that this leftism, right, doesn't make money. It's conservatism, good economic policy. These are the things that make his company money. And so, he's whatever, he runs in leftist circles, and that's fine or whatever. But the thing is like, I think he's a lot more balanced than probably most people realize.
I think so. I think people, people thought that he was far left, but apparently he's not.
Yeah, but like it just makes me smile or whatever.
I mean, it's a happy day for us. You're right.
See people wailing online about the repercussions of their actions, and they had every opportunity to do the right things. They had every opportunity to be honest journalists. They didn't have to do these things, because they're the ones writing these articles. They're the ones out there taking photos. They're the ones producing this. And so you had every opportunity to do the right thing. You chose to do the wrong thing.
You're right. And they're living in this echo chamber. If you go to Washington, D.C., I think in 2 years ago during the election, it was 96% they voted for Kamala. So look at look at Washington, D.C. They're just far left as it goes. They're very swampy. They love things that are status quo. They didn't like somebody like a disruptor like Donald Trump coming over and shake the house like that. And I think the era of the newspaper is done. I don't read the New York Times or Washington Post. I really don't. I don't want to. I'm not even interested in it. I'm not interested in their opinion page or their, straight up, straight news. I just don't watch them. I don't watch CNN. I don't watch ABC, NBC, CBS anymore. I really don't, because I feel like they just pour out junk. I'd rather watch, some other like podcasters. You know what I mean?
The news is too slow for me.
Yep.
It,
Yeah. Yes.
like
It is.
the information travels so much faster. There's on social media, they're gonna grab these things faster than the news can, and the news has got to like take time to put their spin on it or whatever, or like the editor's got to review it. The social media is so much faster. Like it's out there in seconds, and so it's really changed the game. And there's a lot of BS out there on social media too. But the thing is, like, the truth is getting blasted out there too.
Yeah.
So if you sift through it, you're going to get to the truth on a lot of this stuff faster than you could if you just waited for the media to, spin it to you. And so that's
I worked at a newspaper. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, that's the other part too, is like there's going to be spin, so why wait for the spin when you can just go to the source and probably get the truth right from the source.
You're right. So as a newspaper reporter, so I worked at a newspaper company, Korea Daily, for like 20 plus years. And I covered politics there and sports there. And I can say we were losing our grip even to the Korean American audience. And people were going to YouTube and X, Twitter, and as a newspaper reporter, I wasn't used to that because I was busy reporting, and writing articles. And I didn't know how big and how fast, Facebook, Instagram, and X or TikTok was growing. And now I see myself, I go to X first. When I wake up, it used to be like I would check Daily Mail and, Fox News. But now I rarely go there, and I just go to X because I get all the important information there. And even the website news and, the famous ones, I just don't go there as much. Like I used to go, I still go there, like Breitbart and, a Gateway Pundit and Fox, and Washington Times. I would go to these conservative outlets. I don't go to the liberal outlets anymore because I know that they just spew out, fake news. But I do rely much more heavily on X because I can see real news there.
Right. Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I used to, even, Fox started like just, Fox was something that I used to watch in the past, but now I don't even watch that anymore because it's just, I can see their, well, it's too slow. And they're also like, you can see their bias on some of the issues.
That's true.
Like they're not, they spin things on President Trump. Some of their
hosts,
their hosts or whatever, but they have good ones or whatever. I think Gutfeld is one of the good ones left.
I like Jesse Waters and Sean Hannity, Gutfeld. Yeah.
But the rest of them, they've got their they got their spin on it that they're getting from their the higher ups or whatever. And but for that, I really don't go there anymore. And Newsmax is one that I will go to. OAN is one that I'll go to occasionally, but for the most part, it's X for me.
You like Greg Kelly? Newsmax?
Yeah, Greg Kelly's all right. And it's a lot of the Newsmax ones. They're not too bad. There's not a ton of spin there. And it's pretty conservative news, and I like them overall.
So you're right. I used to be a Fox News regular. I would watch it every single day. During my reporting days, I would watch Fox News. O'Reilly Factor was my favorite show. I never missed it almost. And then I would watch Hannity. And we have to remember Sean Hannity program was the one that actually exposed the Trump-Russia collusion thing being a hoax, with Sarah Carter and John Solomon breaking the news. And Sean Hannity really did a tremendous job. So I actually watched Hannity's show more than Tucker Carlson's show, in all honesty, even after O'Reilly got fired and Tucker came into the mix. And I think that show really broke a lot of news. I think a lot of people slept on it, but I could see myself watching like other podcast shows like Patrick Bet-David or, Dan Bongino or, like Tim Pool and Jimmy Dore, even the far left ones, the progressive ones who were a little bit more MAGA aligned, Candace Owens and just watch this and that, cross check all
Right.
over the place, and sometimes Glenn Beck, but I found myself actually recently. I told myself, hey, I haven't been watching Fox News program at all. So
Yeah.
I kind of missed it, and I kind of wanted to check out Jesse Waters and Sean Hannity recently, and I think they're still good. They are still good. You have these TV production value. You know what I'm talking about, right? This TV high production value program. So I can feel that they put a lot of money there. The production value, but news wise, they don't bring anything like really different, because now you have like X, and citizen journalism has been very excellent, like Nick Shirley.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's doing a fantastic job, and I'm glad that he got the 100,000 for.
Yeah. Did Elon Musk give it to him? Who gave it to him?
I believe that X gave it to him as like a consolation for.
Yeah. Good on him. Yeah, Nick Shirley's.
Yeah, he deserves it for sure. Like people that are putting in work like him. Talk about journalism in South Korea, like in China influence. Is that a major factor over there?
Yeah, South Korea, the legacy media is all fake news, pretty much. It's pretty much like how it is here. The New York Times, WAPO, CNN. So the Korean American Korean conservatives in South Korea, they really do like President Yoon, the one who got impeached.
Right.
And a lot of conservatives believe that he was wrongfully impeached, including me. Because the whole judicial system is completely bought and paid for. And the funny thing is the election system in Korea, it's the Korean judges who takes care of the elections. So when there's a lawsuit about voter fraud, they just dismiss it, because if they accept it, that means they're going to investigate themselves. So we have this whole corrupt system going on. And I interviewed the former prime minister of South Korea yesterday. And he told me this voter fraud issue is the single most important issue that's going on in South Korea. We have this parallel system in South Korea and in America. A lot of conservatives believe that Venezuela was involved in the meddling of American election back in 2020 with Maduro. And I think that's one of the main reasons why President Trump arrested him. And South Korea also has that election rigging issue going on, either hacking or vote by mail. Because if you look at for instance, like a conservative candidate would have a 65% advantage votes going for him. So it's like 65 to 35. But the vote by mail is the opposite. Like he would, the candidate A would lose by 70 percentage point, even though the vote in person, he would be getting 65%. So you know what I'm saying? And then this guy would suddenly lose. This candidate would suddenly lose. It's like what happened to Trump in 2020 overnight. So that has been going on all over the place in South Korea. So, and that's where the frustration is happening. And that's why a lot of South Korean conservatives want President Trump to get involved in South Korea. You know, because they can't. I really think there is no way out in South Korea by themselves.
Yeah, it's that's it's such a huge thing, and if we don't have election integrity, we don't have a country anymore, and we're hanging by a thread right now, and they're trying to get the SAVE Act and the Save America Act, and a lot of people don't understand the difference between the two. So the SAVE Act was the original thing that was passed in the House last April, and they've been trying to get it through the Senate. And what the SAVE Act is in order to register to vote, you have to prove your citizenship. So either by a passport, birth certificate, social security number, something like that. You have to prove that with the Board of Elections in your county. Mm-hmm. Well, the Save America Act took it a step further and requires voter ID. So there's a lot of misconceptions about like which one's which or whatever, and what each one means, because people see the Save Act or whatever and they don't really understand the difference between the two. And so the Save America Act, the most recent one, is the one that we actually want. That's what people think that we're getting with the SAVE Act, and hopefully we get the most stringent one, because that solves a lot of problems. I think in places like Texas and stuff like that, we aren't going to see the huge gains. That we aren't going to see this massive benefit. But when if they do it in California, I think that's a completely different story. We're going to see a massive flip on a lot of this voting stuff and who gets elected and you know how much you know how red that state is overall.
Yeah.
We're going to see a massive change if we can get that implemented, and hopefully they do, because it's absolutely ridiculous that it's illegal for them to ask for ID. Like it's just complete insanity. The only reason to do that would be to commit fraud, and so
yeah, it's just ridiculous. I saw one Democrat as a pundit who's saying that SAVE Act shouldn't pass, that we shouldn't be checking the ID, that it's so costly to get an ID. Doesn't it? It's just ridiculous. You know, all the nonsense that they were saying, that it's such that a lot of people are poor, and he said he himself is on the negative, you know, net negative, that he doesn't have enough money in his pocket to make an ID. And what kind of a ridiculous argument is that? You know, I have never heard that kind of ridiculous Looney Tune argument where they don't have enough money to make their own ID. I think the first thing when they arrive in the United States was make an ID. That's what I did. Right. So it's just they're just argument, it's just pure nonsense.
Yeah, and everybody's got an ID, and the people that don't, they probably don't for a reason. They probably like
you're right. You're right.
they whatever they got, traffic citations or something, or bench warrants for their arrests or something. Like there's very few people in them. Like it's so easy to get an ID, and you can get a state issued ID. You don't have to actually have a driver's license. It's so easy to do it. You don't even have to leave your house. Like if you're like physically handicapped, you can submit a photo and they can verify your documents or whatever. And like you can actually, like in Georgia, you can do that. Like you don't even have to leave your house if it's so impossible for you to get an ID. So this misconception that you can't get it, like people can't get an ID, it's completely false. Like everybody can get an ID. You need it to do everything.
And it's just ridiculous. I was just watching a video clip of Barack Obama voting for himself back in 2012. And then they were asking for his ID. You know, there was no uproar about that back then among the Democrats. But how come in California here it's illegal to show an ID? And because of those kind of ridiculous rules, you have like cats and dogs voting now.
Right.
In California. This is like Looney Tune country, upside down, place that we're living in.
Yeah, we're appeasing the people that are committing fraud. And speaking of fraud, so that was another thing that was brought up today, was the ghost students in California, especially. So this is wild. If you're not aware, so the in California they discovered the percentage was like 34%, right?
31.4%.
31.1.
31.4%. For 31.4.
Yeah, 31.4%
community college students.
Of college students in California are ghost students. So they don't actually exist. They make up fake credentials, enroll this fake person into
only in California.
Into a school, and these are international criminals, and they are drawing Pell Grant funds because they have this fake student, which is just mind-blowing, the fraud. And it seems like nobody is trying to get this under control except for the Trump administration. Like the state of California has no intention of getting this thing under control. Like they're just like, they don't care that these frauds are happening out there. They're just going to keep on rolling with it. And the Trump administration is the only ones trying to get this under control.
I mean, they love to report about it. You see LA Times, they always expose, all these frauds that's happening in California. If you look at the bullet train project between LA and San Francisco, supposedly they're supposed to make a bullet train or whatever. Nothing's happening. They didn't make a single inch of the railroad, and they talk about it, but yet they would still endorse Gavin Newsom. yet they would still endorse Democrats. So it's, they
Right.
have this, it's like this cartel. It's like, okay, well, let's talk about it just a little while, but you better make sure that you vote for Democrat next time around. So I really want President Trump to take over California. I wish that he takes over this land like he's trying to do in Greenland. I think he actually did, or like Venezuela. I wish that he treat this state like Venezuela. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
This,
salty.
this fake student stuff is ridiculous. I mean, 1/3 of the students are fake. Can you believe
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Just in order to scam the system. Like it's like this Somali fraud all over again. And
Yeah.
the thing is like the thing is like there are students out there struggling to make ends meet and stuff like that. This money, the way it works is with the Pell Grant funds, is the school gets all this money, and they figure out like how many students there are and who has a need and all these different things. They look at this, and then from there they divide up the money and they distribute it to the students.
Mhm.
Well, if 1/3 of the students don't even exist, that's
They don't
a,
exist.
a huge chunk of the money. So these students are getting robbed of
Yep.
the money that they should be
Right.
getting. The ones that whatever we we distribute the money or whatever to the kids that don't make a lot of money or whatever in order to go to college. So
Mhm.
they should be the most outraged, because 1/3 of their money is going to some international crime ring, and
Yeah.
that's their money or whatever to pay off so they don't have student loans and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
they should be outraged. If they would be outraged if they actually understood what was going on, but they don't. They play on the emotional arguments and
Right.
Trump derangement, like Trump
It's
orange man dad or whatever.
Yeah.
And they don't actually understand what's going on, and they're getting
Mhm.
ripped off.
Yeah. And Jay, this is a normal in California. This is just Tuesday in the office, on Wednesday. This is just how it is. You remember like the unemployment insurance fraud? Remember during the COVID era, California had tens of billions of dollars in COVID-19 related fraud. So I think this is the norm. We had like inmates getting a whole bunch of these fraud money happening. It's 20 billion to over 32.6 billion dollars in Cali.
Right. Yeah.
California, yeah, employment fraud. So
Yeah.
this is like this is not that much, Jay. In all honesty, it's like peanuts compared to our norm.
Yeah, it's just it's not.
It's just another day in the office. That's how I see it. Every time when I hear California fraud, it's like, okay, another one. It comes out every day on our paper.
If they get voter ID in California, it's going to be something else. Like it's
somehow they're very upset about that one, though. They are making sure that that's not happening here. They would make fraud going on, like it's a normal thing. They like homeless people. It's like 200,000 people. It ballooned to 200,000
right
in California, up and down. And
because it means more money for them.
Yeah, because they need more money for them. Yeah, I mean we are getting all these federal funding to make sure that homeless people do not disappear, so that we can keep on getting it. That's the mentality in California. That's the norm. That's how Gavin Newsom thinks.
Right.
So, if you think in that, lens, everything is working perfectly fine, I guess.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was funny too the other night. The Billie Eilish comments.
Oh man,
about nobody is illegal on stolen land or whatever, and she had to make
the Grammy Awards
political statement or whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, now the Tongva tribe, who was native to where her house actually is, they're coming after her for her house. Like they're
I saw that.
It's funny because these celebrities, they don't know they don't even know what they're talking about. They just spit out these emotional responses or whatever, these scripted responses, and they shouldn't. It was funny because Ricky Gervais, he said they're not. So before when he hosted before or whatever, he was like, just
Golden Globe Awards, Golden Globe,
shut the F up and move on or whatever. But
just take your award and
Yeah.
shut up, don't talk politics and get out of here.
Yeah, and he was like,
Nobody cares about your politics.
yeah,
You're just dumb celebrity. Yeah.
Yep, this one he was like, they're not listening because they just came out with all their political statements or whatever, and it's funny because when it comes back to bite them or whatever, they point out their hypocrisy or whatever. They just look like fools.
Yeah, and isn't there like a lawsuit? I think there's a lawyer who are suing on behalf of, what is it, Tumva indigenous group, and they own that land, and she lives in this, I don't know, was it $3 million mansion or whatever it is?
I think it's more like 14 million.
Is it 14 million? Yeah, I saw 2 reports. Yeah.
Yeah.
So according to her logic, if she wants to criticize and bash Trump, which I think she's ordered to do, in all honesty, I think she doesn't know anything. I think she's dumb about politics. She needs to study up before she opens her mouth. I don't think she even knows about Laken Riley or Jocelyn Nungare or Katie Stanley or any of those people who got killed by illegal immigrants. I don't think they know Angel Mom, the tragedy of Angel Mom stories. The moms of their kids being killed by the illegal immigrants. So I think she should pay up. She should, she should, since she said that, I think she should give up her land to the indigenous group who righteously own that land.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, stolen land. She said it herself. Like it's stolen land or whatever, and it's coming.
And her brother got arrested too once, right, by joining in an anti-ICE protest last year.
Did he?
So, yeah, I think it's like brother and sister tandem, and they make this music. And I think I do like one of Billie Eilish's song. I actually know only one, Bird of a Feather. That's the only song that I know of her. But I think she should stick to singing.
Right. Yeah, that's my point. Like,
yep.
That's the crappy part about this all is like they ruin it by throwing in their politics. Just shut.
I mean, if they know about what they're talking about, then it's okay. But it seems like they don't know about it. Like I think Nicki Minaj studied about it. I heard her saying stuff, and she did study the back and the left wing side and the right wing side, and she chose the right, the right wing side. And in Billie Eilish's case, I don't think she knows all the things that we talked about.
Yeah,
I don't think she knows Sean Hannity. I don't think she knows Jesse Waters. I don't think she knows anything. She never watched the Fox News program. I don't think she watches, the podcast shows or your show, my show, any shows. I think she's just saying the same thing as what other entertainers are supposed to say, I guess.
Right. Yeah, and that's that was the other thing too is like there's these good ones. They're speaking out about it, and thankfully she's big enough to where she can't be canceled. Right? She can speak out about it, which opens the door for other people to speak out about these things. But it's wild the things that are happening out there. I brought this up about, Candace Taylor. She was running for governor here in Georgia a few years ago, and she was talking about how there's these Satanists involved, and there's really some nefarious stuff going on behind the scenes or whatever. And people were really shocked by the things that she said, but fast forward a couple of years, a lot of what she said was true. And the thing is we, just people weren't ready for it. They didn't understand what was going on yet. But now with social media, they see what's going on behind the scenes. You're really shocking stuff that's happening,
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I remember when artists didn't show their opinion to this extent back in the day, right? I never heard Michael Jackson endorsing a certain party. He didn't do that, Elvis Presley, right. Or I never heard that kind of thing. And I think even though they had some opinions about it, they kept private, and Michael Jackson was good friends with Donald Trump, by the way. He was the one who always defended MJ, and I think seems like a lot of lefties don't remember that. President Trump was the one who always defended black entertainers back in the day. He was friends with Mike Tyson. He defended Mike Tyson when he was accused of rape back in the 80s. Right. And he was on the forefront. He did a lot of causes for NAACP, and black entertainers fawned over him back in the day. And just because he ran as a Republican presidential candidate, they all turned their back against him. And I think it really goes to show how shallow these entertainers are.
Right. Well, you can go back and like I think it was like an Oprah interview of President
Yeah,
Trump.
88.
And he was basically saying the same stuff that he says today. It was
Yep.
really the
Yep.
same thing or whatever. And they were like you said, they were fawning over him. They were
Mhm.
like, oh, you could run for president one day or whatever. He's basically saying the exact same platform that he's saying now or whatever. Very, very little difference. And just the times or whatever and what's happening. But he was saying the exact same things, and they were like, yeah, you should run for president or whatever.
Yeah.
now they're like, anti-Trump or whatever. It's just
Yeah.
great.
And I just I know Billie Eilish, she's setting all sorts of records. She has a lot of Guinness Book record, like she's the first artist to win like new artist, album of the year, song of the year, and all that sorts of stuff. But I think she should be more appreciative of the opportunity she got because she lives in America, and I don't hear this kind of that these entertainers being appreciative of living in America. It's always a little bit anti-America, right? If
Yeah.
you hear them voice their opinion, they're anti-American citizens. They're very pro-illegal immigrants, and it's always on the wrong side. I never agree with these entertainers. They always seem to support all these wrong causes like Planned Parenthood and even voter ID. They're on the wrong side of that regarding ICE, law enforcement. There's all, even with the George Floyd protest, I think it was wrong to cause that much damage, property damage all over the place and hurt the police. It's just, she even supported defund the police movement, Billie
Right.
Eilish.
Yeah.
So these are not cases, and they're just saying it. They don't care. They're just saying it because they think it's cool to go against a cop, or go against cops. They think they're like gangster rappers.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, she doesn't have to deal with it. She doesn't have to deal with the repercussions of the things she's saying because she lives in a gated-in compound.
Yeah. Now she has to deal with it with a Tongva tribe.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm on Team Tongva. Now she has to deal with it.
Yeah. Do they have a GoFundMe? Because I'll set up. I'll send some money to their legal fees. But it's funny though. It's unfortunate that it has to be that way, but that's the only way that they understand the impact of what the things that they're saying is when they're faced with it. These people don't understand what they're saying. They've never lived in a harsh environment. They've never lived in a third world country. They don't know what it is to struggle. They don't really know. They had an iPhone their whole life. They don't like they don't know what it's like to just to wonder where you're going to get.
And why would you want to alien more than half? I would say it's 60%. In all honesty, I think 60% of Americans do support ICE and enforcing immigration laws. I mean, we don't want to live among like all illegal immigrants, and we don't know who they are. We really don't know who they are. They don't have any records. And why would you want to have these kind of people all over the place, it's cross country? The only reason why is we know the why. They want fake votes. They want to, keep this territory more Democrat. Like even in California, I think that's one of the main reasons. That's how California got like 53 House members. I think it's too much. I think they can, because Jay, they count illegal immigrants here too, population wise, and then that's how they increase the number of the House, which is, I think, ridiculous. They should just count the citizens, or at least legal residents, not illegals. Nobody wants that kind of society. And President Trump is correct. Without no border, there is no country. And it seems like these celebrities don't even think about that. It's just because of the Renee Good and the Pretty incident. That's why they have this uproar. But I'm really, because it was caught on camera too, right? And that's what causes this emotional response to it. But I wish the Republicans can really advertise this more, even though it's tragic. Like the cases with Kate Steinle and Laken Riley and Jocelyn Nungray and all these sad situations, and we have to fight. President Trump is doing that. He did that in the White House briefing room, but it shouldn't be just President Trump. It should be all Republicans or conservatives or even independents and some people on the left-wing side, and they just have to, just plaster it all over the place, like X, Instagram, TikTok. You know what I mean? So that we can counter this narrative.
Right. Well, yeah, you know, it was interesting too with the abduction of Savannah Guthrie's mom or whatever. President Trump called Savannah Guthrie personally today and offered his, you know, whatever, like condolences or
Condolences.
whatever, and like, you know, saying if she needs any help with anything or whatever, you know, he's there or whatever. And, you know, that's the difference.
You're right.
Between, you know, President Trump and somebody like Joe Biden, because Joe Biden, like Laken Riley or whatever, like he was, you know, when he said her name at that State of the Union speech or whatever, he didn't even say her name right or whatever, but like he was like mad that he even had to talk about
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I
versus
was surprised that
President
he even acknowledged her. I thought that he wouldn't acknowledge her. And I think that's
Right.
why he got angry.
Yeah, and you know, he didn't want to or whatever, and you know, they're so dug in on their, you know, their side or whatever that they can't, you know, you can't just like they can't just ever like acknowledge that, hey, this is a bad thing and we shouldn't want this regardless of politics or whatever, because Savannah Guthrie is a very leftist, you know, person or whatever, but
Yeah.
President Trump, you know, hey, this is the right thing to do or whatever, and you know, he called her or whatever today.
Uh-huh.
So and she's even attacked him, you know, even in the
Yeah.
debates and stuff like that. She attacked him and tried to corner him on stuff or whatever. But you know, he rose above it and he did the right thing. So good
Yeah.
on him for that.
Yeah. You mean the NBC host, right? I forgot
Yeah.
which channel she's on. But I think that shows how more mature the Republican side is. I mean, he's like a dad. You know, I mean, President Trump, it really is daddy is back home. You know, all
Yeah.
these spoiled brats that we have, these protesters against ICE and all these things, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
President Trump is just rising above this nonsense, and he's just showing how a real leader is. And I think he is a leader of our time, and I think we should really rally around him.
Yeah.
And
No,
he is one of a kind, and I think we are really lucky and blessed to have him as our 45th and 47th president.
agreed. And you know, today he really, you know, that was very presidential of him. And
Yeah.
a lot of people were critical of the Rob Reiner thing or whatever, putting out a post or whatever.
But Rob Reiner was so nasty on him.
Yeah, he was. He definitely was.
I
Like,
think he was one of the worst. I mean, my condolences to what happened to him.
yeah.
But he was one of the nastiest person out there. I remember I got so angry whenever he opened his mouth about President Trump, and I felt like I really thought that he might have probably been on the list or something. You know, I wonder why he was so against him.
Right. And Rob Reiner was the type of person that he would have celebrated if something bad happened.
No question about it. He wanted it to happen. If you look
Right.
at his, you know, tweets, he wanted it to happen. So a lot of people said that, you know, a lot of people said that karma happened to him because he was so, you know, nasty. And I think President Trump, I had no issue of President Trump giving that response about Rob Reiner. I had absolutely no issue because he was attacked and he almost got killed himself too because of those rhetorics. We have to remember what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. It's not just there, also in Palm Beach, right?
Yep. Well,
he almost had another incident in the golf club.
yeah. Well, luckily the guy, what's his name? The one that was Ruth, Ryan Ruth or whatever, he was sentenced to life plus 7 years.
Yeah.
In Florida today. So luckily that happened. That's the right thing. We need to actually punish these people.
We have to. You're right.
Yeah, I think if Kamala Harris would have been president or whatever, like he would have been out. He would have been like, honestly, like it's crazy.
Can you believe that? I mean, this is a really upside down.
Yeah, like it's like bizarre world. Like honestly, like the guy
would out. You're right.
Not even be in trouble. Like he would probably be like a talk show host or something. Like he'd be a podcaster after that. Like that's crazy. But that's
I think that probably he would be a CNN contributor, right?
Yeah, he'd be he would be a CNN. You know, they would go to him on you know, analysis on, you know, the infrastructure of Mar-a-Lago or something like that. You know, just it's crazy how stark, you know,
these are not. I think these are really sick and not normal people. Jay, I really think I tried to appease them. You know, one of the reasons why I started my show was to, you know, persuade the Democrats and the left of trying to find some middle ground. But I realized some of them are just long gone. Were they bought and paid for? Or they might be working for Epstein. They might have, I don't know. but it seems like some people are just not convertible.
Yeah, it really like the mental health aspect of this country and like how the media is played into it is, I don't know how to solve it, to be honest with you. Like they, they talk about like throughout the, make mental institutions great again, and that, like, but there's a huge problem. Like people are just like out of their minds. It's almost like, Gotham City when, they on the movie or whatever, when they put the stuff in the water and the people are just like losing their minds or whatever.
Yeah.
That's
that's
lot.
what it is. Yeah.
Like that's like, it's just crazy. Like
you're right. It's kind of like that. It really is like that, right?
Right.
I mean, how could they not see our side? And it wasn't like I went out of my way to become conservative. As a news person, I always wanted to be down the middle. But I mean, it really is like, I mean, my friend Larry Elder, he once said this: unless you develop a Trump derangement syndrome vaccine, we can never convert them,
Yeah. I don't know. Like I'm really like concerned for our future, like, because even if we get some of these things done, like the voter ID, and we deport a bunch of illegals and stuff like that, we still have this huge mental health issue within the United States that's just completely unchecked, and I don't know how we do it. Like it's crazy. It's almost insolvable. But the thing is like, holding people accountable for their actions, I guess, is where it starts. And
I really think the legacy media can do something about it to change people's minds, but I think that's probably not going to happen until hell freezes over. But I think,
yeah.
But I think that's the only way, unless the legacy media, because there are people who are gung ho, just live and die for legacy media. They consider them like their god. It seems like so. And unless they change their tune, I don't think the people are going to change at all, too.
Right.
And which is sad. Which is a sad commentary that shows what's going on in America.
Yeah. I just, I'm fearful for, our kids and, grandkids and stuff like that. Hopefully we can get it under control. Hopefully, it starts with the law and order piece. It starts with the voter ID thing or whatever. And then hopefully, from there, we can make some positive changes.
I think the only way we can fix this, at least halfway through, is to have the SAVE Act go through. Yeah, we need to make sure that, there should be ID, photo identification when they vote, because I do think that there's rigging. I do believe in California, voter fraud is the norm. I really believe that. We have cats and dogs voting now, and this is like ridiculous, and I just feel like unless we change it's all about voting. That's why they attack this voting system. That's why they're so against it, against SAVE Act. And all I feel is that they just want to cheat that much, and they don't want that cheating right to be taken away from them. And I do think that we have to fix that issue. And I want to make sure that Republicans win constantly, not just 2028 and midterm this come November, but I think that we should win like for 20 years straight, minimum.
Yeah. I mean, 4 years is not going to be enough to solve all this stuff.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we gotta get people motivated to get out there and vote.
Yeah. So we have to make the system really concrete so that we can make sure that we win. Not like something what happened on Tuesday, like losing in Texas in a Republican stronghold. We can't have that anymore.
No, we can't. We can't afford it because we didn't get enough done in this 1 year or whatever. Like we need to keep moving forward.
Yep.
Thing is, we lose the House, then they're going to start the impeachment for President Trump. They're going to try and gridlock. They're going to try and
no question about it.
Screw everything up that we've been accomplishing in this past year. And I know that not everybody's happy with everything that we've got done, but we've got a lot done. And just
we got a lot done. President Trump did a lot.
Yeah, he stopped people from coming over that border.
Yep, no question. And he put tariffs all over the place.
Huge. Like they
huge. You're right. Nobody did it, right? Nobody did it.
My whole lifetime.
In American history, I think it's the first.
Yeah. He basically stopped all, and that has to feel good to the border patrol agents, because they're doing their job. They're actually, stopping the people from coming over, which is, what they were hired to do. And so, that has to be, and hopefully they continue that regardless of who's president next or whatever. Hopefully they continue that, because they're showing that it can be done. So
I really hope so. But one thing that worries me is the Israel issue. Do you think about the Israel issue a lot, Jay, or you don't?
well, I think about the Israel issue, but I think also, like, I don't look at it as just one country influences our country, right? I believe that every country around the world
Try to influence us. You're right. Like China, right?
Yeah, China is one. Like, it's so I can't just put all my eggs in one basket. And I know a lot of people are like,
No, that's a good point, Jay. I think, a lot of people are sucked into this Israel issue. I think,
Right.
including me a little bit, because I've been a little bit on that one, kind of dig into it. But you're right. We have to put things into perspective. Like China is still the biggest issue right now.
And the other piece is too, is I've been to Israel and I've spent many years in the Middle East.
Oh, you did? Oh, yeah.
Many years over there. And what I can tell you is who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. And I'm telling you right now that the bad guys are not on the other side, like out in Syria. The bad guys are out in Syria. They're out in in Iraq and in Iran. And so that's where the bad guys are. And what I can tell you is the people of Israel are really nice, and they're fighting these bad guys. So there's the government influence piece is one thing, but also Israel protecting themselves against these countries that are trying to annihilate them is it's a completely different issue. And so people have a hard time separating the government influence thing.
Yeah, you're right.
The APAC, like, I have an issue with APAC. Like, I have an issue with lobbying our government, but it's not just APAC. I have an issue with big pharma lobbying our government. Like, I have an issue with, a lot of these different things. So I can't just a lot of people have a hard time seeing, the big picture on those issues or whatever. I do have an issue with APAC funding all of our politicians.
Yeah.
Like, I have an issue with that. But the thing is like, that doesn't mean that I think that, I want Iran to, shoot missiles into Israel, because I don't. Like, when I went to Israel, I spent a week there. When I went to Israel, from Gaza, they were shooting rockets out into Israel, like where I was, right? So I didn't have anything I'm not Jewish, I'm not Muslim. I didn't have anything to do with any of that stuff. I was just there. But they were shooting rockets out into Israel, which could have hit me, you know what I mean? And so I posed this question to people on the pro-Palestine or whatever.
Yeah.
I talked to him about it and say, hey, what if this rocket had hit me? Like, what's your answer to that? Because that's not
right.
I didn't have anything to do with it. I didn't have anything to do with their war. I didn't have anything to do with any of that stuff. And they don't have an answer for that. And it's like, well, yeah, exactly, because they shouldn't be shooting rockets out into Israel, right? They are the bad guys for doing that. So and that's just happening, on a regular basis over there or whatever. And so it's just.
Did the Iron Dome protect you when you were there?
So the where they were or whatever, the rockets just were not hitting targets that I'm aware of. One of them hit like a street up by I believe it was up by the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem was one, but they cleaned it up very fast, and they're used to it over there. It's wild how used to being rocketed and stuff like that they are there. And so the expedience that they clean these things up, it's kind of crazy. They essentially live in a war zone, but they're out in Israel. It's very nice. Like, it's like it's in Tel Aviv, it's like Miami in a lot of ways. You can go.
It's very liberal there, I heard. Tel Aviv,
you can go paddleboarding on the beach. Like, there's cool restaurants and stuff like that, and bars or whatever. And it's like, it's very surreal. And where you are or whatever, like, it's just it's a really cool place. And the people were very nice there. And there are Muslims, there are Christians, there are Jews all out in Israel. Like, that's another thing that a lot of people don't understand is there are Muslims that live in Israel or
You're
whatever,
right. Yeah, there are. I know. Yeah.
and they're out everywhere. That's
Mhm.
just there is this divide or whatever. There's this religious tension there, but the thing is like they're also living in among everybody else.
So you're saying that when you say a lot of I mean, like Syria being on the bad side and all that, you're talking about the terrorists, right? The Houthis and Hamas.
So
And
so the Houthis are down in Yemen, but yes, they
yeah.
are bad. And then
Uh-huh.
but out in Syria you have Al Qaeda, you have ISIS,
Okay. Yeah.
and so when they got rid of Bashar al-Assad, who's not necessarily a good guy, but the thing is like when they got rid of him, it created this vacuum of power, and
Yeah.
so
It
now,
always happens like that. That's how ISIS grew up, right?
I knew exactly what was going to happen because I lived, in Iraq for years. So I knew I watched the same thing happen in Iraq. When we get rid of Saddam Hussein or whatever, same thing happened. They were having IDs everywhere. They're ISIS went in and they destroyed all the monuments and like the
It's a Hezbollah, right? Syria has Hezbollah.
Hezbollah is so Hezbollah is within Gaza,
Yeah.
funded by Iran. So they're actually funded, ironically, through partially through U.S.
Yeah.
Money or whatever. And but anyways, it's it's a very like tricky situation. I really wish we would allow Israel more freedom to deal with these problems on their own, and we would just step away a little bit on some of this stuff because I don't think it's our problem. But
do you think Syria was more stable when Assad was there? Because I've been hearing that too.
Yeah, but the thing is like the thing about it is though is Assad isn't a good guy. But the thing is like, well, when he's gone, what happens? ISIS takes over. So it's like, well, one is bad, but one is like
the other
way
is also
worse.
bad too.
Way worse. Like it's way worse to have ISIS in charge in terms of like, the countries that are surrounding it.
Yeah. So in the totality of it, you think that U.S. should always still be pro-Israel among all the issues that Middle East have. And, that is the talk of the town right now, that Israel, I mean, now we have the Epstein files opened up that has like Epstein working for the Rothschild. And Rothschild, we all know that they were the ones who were behind the backing of Israel going back to the Middle East in 2000 years. So, a lot of conservatives are saying America first, but all the funding goes to Israel a lot. And they have, all the population in Israel, they are medically insured,
right?
Health insurance with our own taxpayers' money.
Well,
we give like $30 billion every single year to Israel. And but still, yet if you look at the chaos that's going on with all the like ISIS, Al Qaeda, Houthis, and Hamas, all these terrorist groups, terrorist cells all over the place in the Middle East, you're saying still we should be on the side of Israel.
So that you're talking about separate. This is where you got to separate it.
Yeah.
Do I want to be paying for healthcare? Do I want to be paying for subsidizing, Jews for like education? To say like we fund a lot of these things. The answer is absolutely no. Like why are we paying for them?
It's ridiculous.
For the doctor, why are we paying for their education? Why are we doing any of that stuff? We should not be doing that. When you talk about should Israel be able to defend themselves against ISIS and Hamas and Hezbollah and I think I misspoke earlier. Hezbollah is Lebanon, but like should they be able to defend themselves? Absolutely, they should be able to because those people will annihilate them if they don't. And so two separate issues. Do I want to be pouring money into Israel? Absolutely not. Do I want Israel to be able to defend themselves against these,
absolutely, yes,
terrorist Fs? Absolutely. So in terms of that, like it's completely separate issues, and a lot of people have a hard time separating those things.
Yeah, I understand. You were saying that it's not like clear cut. It's like not like a cookie cutter answer for that. It's very complicated, you know, right?
It is. And, you know, the other piece is, you know, how much should we be funding and what should we be funding over there? Like, I don't think we should be funding hardly anything over there.
Yeah.
We've provided them a lot, and a lot of their weaponry and stuff like that came from us. They have Apache helicopters, they have missiles from us, they have fighter jets. They're US. And so in terms of that, I think we've done more than enough. So why do we need to keep pouring money into that? I don't think we need to. I think we just need to allow them to deal with the problems and stop interjecting ourselves. Because the one thing is like you get President Trump in there, and he has his way of dealing things. Well,
Yeah.
you put somebody like Joe Biden in, it's completely opposite direction. Like they're pro-Palestine, they're dumping money into Iran. Like it's a completely different situation. And so if we could just stay consistent on some of this stuff, we could avoid a lot of these problems, because we're creating these problems by funding these terrorists. We're dumping money in, like, I forget how many $100 million or whatever they wasted on trying to build a dock in Gaza or whatever, and it never worked or whatever.
Wow.
Like we said, U.S. Army or whatever, they try to build this dock or whatever. Why in the hell are we doing that? Like, what? That's no benefit to American taxpayers. Like, why in the hell are we getting involved in that? Like, we shouldn't be doing that. And then
so some people are saying that isn't Israel pressuring America? I get that feeling a lot, Jay. I mean, I have been pro-Israel all my life too, but sometimes I wonder why America's budget is going to these foreign nations more than, you know, because I live in California. I see all the mess that's happening here. And if you go to like Pennsylvania, there's like Zombie City there too, right? Zombie Town. And I wonder why the money is not efficiently spent here in the States rather than being spent. I mean, it's waste all over the place. I mean, California wastes money. I know that, you know, that's why probably the federal government is hesitant to sending it. But it's not like we're sending the money efficiently in the Middle East either, I feel. Like even Iraq, you lived in Iraq. Do you think the Iraq war was, so it's like a package question. Do you think the war in Iraq was, I wanted to know your opinion on that. Yeah.
So again, with do I think it was worthwhile? No, absolutely not. I don't think we accomplished anything over there. The things that we were trying to accomplish, we left and let, you know, terrorists have the country back or whatever. And so it's just as bad as it was, maybe worse.
Is it now operated by, who's operating Iraq right now? Because I don't.
Well, there's a government there, but they're basically in a walled-in part of Baghdad. Like it's very like they're like Assad. They're very isolated from the rest of society. Whereas out in Iraq, you have terrorists, you have all this stuff still operating freely. There's no control over it like it is.
Supposedly pro-America government right now in Iraq, supposedly, at least government wise.
Well, they have a government, but what does that mean? They're like basically walled into a compound. They're not like, they have control to a certain extent, but they don't really. Like it's more of like the terrorists have control. Like there's it's not like.
So that's what I think. I feel like rather than having terrorists take control, I feel like it's better to have a dictator there, like Saddam Hussein. I think it was more stable than you know.
Well, I think it's better for us to just stop interjecting ourselves.
Yeah.
This place will never be America. You will never.
I mean, even America has its message.
Iraq. You will never change Syria. They do not want to change their. Same with Afghanistan. They do not want to change. They do not. Most Afghanis didn't even know why we were there. They didn't even know. Like they still don't know. They don't even know if we were American, Russian. They don't know who we are. They just know we're supposed to be there, and they don't like us.
I'm not even sure whether America's objective was even trying to spread the Western democracy there either. I don't think that was the goal. I mean,
it's not possible.
I mean, it worked in South Korea, in all honesty, Jay. So South Korea and I think Japan was a success case, but it didn't work in Vietnam. Some places it really worked. You know, I'm so thankful that America got involved, Jay.
Right.
You know, so it's a tremendous success. You know, we wouldn't see all these, you know, K-pop stuff going on. You know,
right.
K-pop culture, and Korea became one of the advanced countries in the world, and Japan too, right? Because of America's involvement there. But
Yeah.
I think those two countries, Japan and Korea, is specifically the really, real success cases, and even Europe too, right? Under the Marshall Plan, right? I mean, it's pretty successful, So wherever America went, it was success all over the place up until I think Vietnam, and then it changed. Things started to change, and even Iraq, we spent what $6-7 trillion there alone,
Right.
and we lost like more than, is it 5,000 people there, Americans in Iraq altogether?
I'm not sure what the exact number is, but
And
it's in the
yeah, I mean,
thousands for
we
sure.
had so many. I mean, we had so many people lose their limbs, their arms, it really pains me whenever I see those veterans who sacrificed. And I really, I supported it, in all honesty, when in 2003, when the Iraq war, everybody supported it. All the Democrats supported it. If you think about
Right.
it, all the mainstream media supported it until they didn't.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, I'm wondering, because I thought that it would be a quick success. I thought with American military might that they can really clean the place up. And I read up all the heinous human rights violation that Saddam Hussein and
Yeah.
his son did. And it really angered me. And I felt like, oh, South Korea, it feels like somebody got to be involved with this kind of heinous nation, and that's why I supported it. And I
Right.
thought they had weapons of mass destruction, and 17 intelligence also agreed that they did have weapons of mass destruction. Even Putin said that. So
Well,
I
they did have weapons of mass destruction. That's the thing. So
biochemical weapon, right?
yeah, they did, and they used them on the Kurds. But that's not. We were fed a bunch of lies, though. Right, we were told a certain thing. We were told we were going there for a certain thing or whatever, and it didn't pan out to be true. There were some truths in it or whatever, but again, Saddam Hussein is a terrible person.
Yep,
Uday
no question
Hussein,
about it. Yeah,
Hussein,
Uday is a bad dude. Yeah, he
yeah, they
even
were,
killed a boxer. Do you know?
yeah,
Because the boxer, he went on an Olympic and he couldn't win the gold medal, and he said that, hey, let me teach you how to box, and he just beat the crap out of him.
yeah.
And
And the soccer team too, they would torture them or whatever if
right?
they didn't
Yeah,
play
yeah.
well or whatever. Like
Uh-huh.
these are real things, and
Yep.
like
And that angered me, and that's one of the main motivators. This country has to go. That
yeah.
really angered me.
But the
But
thing
now I'm
is,
thinking, was that a media manipulation? Now I'm thinking that way.
well, I don't think so. It's just, they really did these things. They were terrible people. But the thing is like, what did we do? Did we make Iraq better? No, I don't think we did. I think, if anything, things are worse there. It's more dangerous place, and it's not any more Western than it was before. And it's completely unstable. And yeah, they have oil or whatever, but like they could blow them up at any given point. So yeah, it's just I'd like we should stop getting involved. Stop getting involved in these things. Hopefully that's the lesson that we can take away from this, is we don't need to get involved in every single thing. Yeah, we have the strongest army in the world, but we don't need to jump into every single conflict, because they don't always pan out, and we
Right.
are doing a horrible job at nation building after we go into these countries. We go in, we clear out the regime or whatever, which we can do very well, like
Yeah.
we did with Maduro and stuff like that.
I think that was really well done, right? That's how it's supposed to be. I think like Maduro, probably if President Trump was was the president back then, he would have just probably captured Saddam Hussein that way.
Right. We can do that. We have the technology, we have the training and stuff like that. But the thing is like, if we try and stay long term and try and rebuild that country,
Right.
it's never going to work out the way we want
Right.
it to.
You're
It
right.
has to come from that country itself.
You're right. You're right. Even South Korea, it was the ingenuity of the Korean people who rose up, and then America helped more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing about Iraq and Syria and stuff is they don't want to change their country. Like they have no intention. Like they
don't want Western democracy or anything
they
like
don't
that.
want it. They don't. Yeah, they have no, like. So if you go in there and you overthrow their government or whatever and try and implement that, it's not going to work. It's never going to work. So,
because we're not doing it perfectly here either, Jay.
right. Yeah, we don't even have election
here.
integrity here.
You know, when you have cats and dogs voting, you know, in California, all the budget money disappearing. It's not like we're doing well. We're not acing the test.
Ghost students,
Ghost
Somali
students, you're
lyrics.
right. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's like, you know, who are we to dictate? And that's exactly the speech that President Trump gave, right? When he went to Qatar last year, and he gave that speech. You know, we pretend that we are like holier than thou, but we don't know any. Our experts don't know anything more better than your experts there. You guys know better about your culture and your history, and all the things that go with it. So I think President Trump is. You know, I really wish that. In all honesty, I wish that President Trump can be in the White House longer. If there's a, you know, I think we are not going to find a righteous leader like him. I feel that way. I really do.
I hope he runs again. Huh?
You know, I'm telling you. I mean, I feel lucky at the same time. You know that I'm living in a nation where we have a president like Donald John Trump. I really do. You know, and I think it really goes to show how Americans are righteous to pick the right leader in this chaotic time. And I think despite all the flaws that people mention, you know, I know like Candace Owens and all these people kind of mentions about his, you know, some of the flaws. Nobody can be perfect, but within the confine of the situation, I think he's acing it. He's an A+ to me.
Yeah. Well, Michael, it's been an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming tonight.
No problem. Anytime.
We've covered a lot of topics. No, it's just it's hopefully we can get that SAVE Act. That'd be huge, especially for California.
Yeah, I mean, we need a new leader here, and there's some Republicans running. Steve Hilton and Shay Yan. He's a Korean American pastor, and Steve Hilton, Fox News host on Sundays. Yeah, I just wish a Republican can win. It's, you know, for the first time since Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right. Yeah, they need it there for sure. And California is, you know, there's a lot of great people. It's a beautiful state.
It really is.
That's the crappiest part about it, is like it's this great place. It could be this beacon of, you know, tourism and stuff like that. Instead, you got like, you know, the Pooh app and San Francisco and all the, you know, all this crime that's happening there, whatever. Like it could be like, you know, just it'd be a cool place to visit or whatever if you could get some of that stuff under control and get the illegals under control and stuff like that. It'd be an awesome place to go check it out or whatever. So
Mel Gibson is considering running, I think I heard. I don't know.
It's gonna take somebody like him, and
that's what I think. You said that too, right? Like somebody like Nicole Sheridan or Mel Gibson,
and it's gonna have to be somebody who really inspires people.
Yep.
And I agree. Who is, you know, not this hardcore MAGA, but, you know, who appeals to both sides or whatever. Yeah. And I really wish she would run because I know she could win. But whoever it is, hopefully, you know, we can get the elections under control there, because that's a big problem. And then the fraud issue too. So
it's fraud all over the place. The elections, the budget, you know, it's just. This is crazy town, you know. I think it's. I hope it's not. You know, I hope it's just a little bit more normal than the current situation.
Yeah. All right, Michael. Well, I appreciate you coming in here tonight. You're always welcome. Yeah, Angela Belcamino is off this week. She's on vacation. Madeline's sick, and so we should be back next week or whatever. Hopefully, I'm on Angela's show, which I normally am, and then I'll do my show on Wednesdays, just like normal. And so it was a pleasure having you here today, though. I appreciate you coming in tonight, Michael. Check out his YouTube page if you haven't already. Follow Mike on X. Where else can they find you, Mike?
They can find me on YouTube, X. YouTube is, you know, it's Korean American language based, Korean language, but I do bring in American guests, and, you know, I put captions in Korean so that I can get both audience there. But X, I'm trying to be more active. I told you this is my third account. I got hacked by left-wing people, you know, so this is my third account. But hopefully nobody does anything with my current one. So I'm just glad to be invited to your excellent show, Jay.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you having me on yours too. You're welcome anytime. It's crazy the people that you meet here on social media and on these shows and stuff like that. South Korean, some of my South Korean subscribers, followers, and friends.
We have a lot of them.
are some of the most based, super intelligent people, hyper aware of all the issues that are going on. If you aren't connecting with these people, you're making a mistake, because they're fighting the same stuff that we're fighting here in the USA over in South Korea.
Yeah, and by the way, I think one of the pastors in South Korea, Son Yeon-bo, his son recently met with Vice President J.D. Vance, and I think J.D. Vance pressured South Korea, and they released him. So there's a direct link between South Korean politics and American politics.
Rooftop Koreans.
Rooftop Koreans back in 1992, during the LA riot.
Yeah.
They protected the Korean American community.
Yeah, now they're badass.
Yeah. Well, there were a lot of gangsters there. So even within the Korean American community, there's a part of us that dismiss them, but I don't. I think, it doesn't matter whether they used to be gangsters or, whatever. They really protected our community, and all props to them.
Yeah, that's the American way, right? That's the Second Amendment.
Yep, Second Amendment movement. Yep,
absolutely. So that's as American as it gets. So awesome. Well, I appreciate having you here tonight, Michael. You have a good night, and thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Jay.
Appreciate it, brother. All right, well, there you have it. Thank you for everybody that reposted. Thank you for all the comments. Salty Yeti, thank you. You've been killing it in the chat there. You did an awesome job tonight. I appreciate you. Thank you for all my friends, and Sherry for reposting, commenting, Cielo, and everybody else that joined tonight. Ashfu, thank you for reposting. Thank you guys for joining us here tonight. I appreciate you. Join us next week. Should be back on Wednesday, just like normal, and then join me on Angelo Belcamino's Bull Chat. So thank you for joining tonight, and y'all have a good one.